Now let's move on to see air or atmosphere. Now what is an air? Air is basically mixture of gases and dust, right? And air, we feel it. We know that the air is around us, right? There's air everywhere, but we cannot see it, okay? Now this air which is around us, this air is a mixture of gases and dust, okay? An atmosphere is basically layers of those gases, okay? Layers. So there are different layers in the air as well, okay? So that layers is what is known as atmosphere. Now the atmosphere or the air, it contains dust and gases, right? We said. Now what kind of gases does it contain? It contains nitrogen. 78% of what is in the air is nitrogen. Oxygen, and then second is oxygen, which is 21%. Argon is 0.9%. Carbon dioxide is 0.04%. Apart from that, it also contains water vapor and dust and pollen, etc. Okay. So here is an image of what the atmosphere looks like. Alright. So this is the surface of the earth. Right. This is where we live. Right. Where people live. So the area around us, the air around us, that's called troposphere. Okay. This is where people live. This is where animals live. And above troposphere is stratosphere. Okay. So the second layer is stratosphere. It is this layer which has ozone layer. Now ozone layer is very important for us, okay, living on earth, because it protects, it prevents all the harmful UV rays, ultraviolet rays to reach the earth's surface. Okay, so it is blocked by ozone layer. Alright. So if this layer becomes thin or porous, okay, if there are holes made in the ozone layer, then the UV rays cannot be prevented, cannot be stopped from entering into the earth's surface, but it can go directly into the surface of the earth and cause harm. Okay. Next to stratosphere is mesosphere. So this is mesosphere. Alright. And then comes thermosphere and then exosphere. Exosphere is the outermost atmospheric layer, okay, of the earth. Alright. Now let us look at weather and climate. Weather and climate are also important components of air, of atmosphere. Alright. So weather is basically the state of the atmosphere at a particular place and a particular time. Alright. So what is the state of the atmosphere at one particular place at a particular time? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it wet? Is it windy? So that is weather. So when we talk about weather, we can say it's hot, it's cold, it's dry, it's windy, it's humid, it's cloudy, it's sunny. So these are state of atmosphere at a particular place at that particular time. Okay? So that means that weather can be different every day. Weather can be different in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Okay? If it's cloudy in the morning, in the afternoon it can be sunny. If it's raining and wet in the night, it can be quite windy in the morning. Okay? If today it's sunny, tomorrow it can be rainy, it can be wet. If it is hot today, tomorrow it can be cold, right? So that is why weather is a state of atmosphere at one particular place at a particular time. Okay? Now, compared to weather, climate, which we often confuse weather and climate as same, but climate is different. Now, climate is the state of a particular place recorded over a long period of time. So, weather is one particular time, the condition of atmosphere at one particular time. But climate is condition of the atmosphere at a long period of time. Say for example 6 months. Say for example 1 year. Okay. So if we live in an area where entire year it's hot, mostly it's hot. Out of 12 months, 9 months are hot, and the last 3 months are cold. Okay, so we say that particular area has a hot climate. Okay, hot climate. So climate is not humid or cloudy or wet or dry. It's not. Okay, climate is the condition of that particular atmosphere over a long period of time. Okay, so that's why we should not confuse when we explain what today's weather is and when we explain what is the climate of India. Okay. Now another component of air or atmosphere, they are temperature, pressure, moisture and wind. These are also important elements of the air and important elements of the weather. So we have been talking about weather, right? So these elements such as temperature, pressure, moisture and wind, they are elements on which the weather depends on. Okay, so the weather depends upon these elements such as temperature, pressure, etc. To record the kind of condition, state of atmosphere at one particular place at a particular time. Okay, so let's look at each of them. The temperature is basically degree of hotness or coldness of air. It's basically how hot or cold the air is. That's temperature. Air pressure, which is also called atmospheric pressure, is the pressure which is exerted by air on the Earth's surface. So the pressure which is applied by the air on the Earth's surface, that is called air pressure or atmospheric pressure. Moisture or humidity, on the other hand, is the amount of water vapor present in the air. Okay? And lastly, the wind is the movement of the air from an area of high pressure to an area of low pressure. Okay? So all these elements, temperature, which is hotness and coldness of air, air pressure, the pressure exerted by air on the Earth's surface, moisture, humidity, the amount of water vapor present in the air, wind, the movement of the air. So these are elements on which the weather depends on to record the condition or state of atmosphere at one particular place in one particular time. Okay. Now when we talk about weather, climate and atmosphere, another thing that we have to talk about is global warming. Now I'm sure you must have heard about global warming. You must have also heard your teacher speak of it. You must have also learned about it during the Environment Day or other times. So global warming is one of the largest threats on Earth at the moment. Okay, it's a danger that we are all facing on Earth. Okay, now in the atmosphere, okay, in our environment, in our atmosphere, there is a release of large amount of pollutants and harmful gases. Now on air, on the atmosphere, there's already existing gases and dust, etc. Right? But if in that atmosphere more and large amount of pollutants, okay, dirt, smoke and harmful gases are released, then that causes depletion of the layers of the atmosphere. That causes depletion of the ozone layer, the important layer which is present in stratosphere. Now this layer prevents UV rays from entering into the Earth's surface. Okay, UV rays meaning ultraviolet rays. Now the protection of the Earth's surface by ozone layer, by preventing the entry of UV rays is good, right? That protects our earth from warming. But if it does not, if the ozone layer becomes thin and depleted over excess release, over large amount of release of pollutants and harmful gases in the atmosphere, then the ozone layer does not or cannot prevent the UV rays from not entering the Earth's surface. Then the ultraviolet rays penetrate through the ozone layer and enters into the Earth's surface, causing harm to the human beings, plants, animals, etc. Okay? Now, apart from the release of pollutants and harmful gases in the atmosphere, there is also cases or incidents of cutting of large number of trees, deforestation. Okay? Deforestation is one of the causes of global warming. Burning of fuels, release of smoke by people in their houses, by the factories, by industries, by vehicles, alright, cars, bus, etc. So all these also has emitted so much carbon dioxide that the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is increased to such a large level. With the increase in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, in the air, it increases the temperature on Earth's surface. So that means the Earth becomes warmer and warmer each year or each month. Okay? Now the Earth's surface cannot get warmer. There is a limit, okay, after which it cannot get warmer. And if it does, it has serious effects. And what is that? The mountains melt. The glaciers melt, the ice melts, and with that, the level of the sea or the ocean that increase. With that, what happens? Flooding takes place. A submerging of more and more land mass takes place, and it has a harmful or serious impact on our livelihoods, okay, on our life. So this is what is global warming, and now this has to be prevented, or we have to take measures to stop the serious effects of global warming, to make sure that the environment is not polluted. Okay, the environment is healthy, and that we may protect and conserve our resources, the earth, and also allow people to live longer. Okay. Now, let us look at another important sphere of the atmosphere, and that is water or hydrosphere. So, until now we looked at land or lithosphere, air, atmosphere, and now water or hydrosphere. Now, the Earth's surface is not only covered with land, okay? It is also covered with water. Now, the Earth's surface, 71% or 2/3 of the Earth's surface is covered with water. Because of the fact that almost all the parts of the Earth's surface is covered by water, the Earth looks very blue from the outside. Okay, from the space, the Earth looks blue because of the very fact that 71% or 2/3 of Earth's surface is covered in water, and because of that fact, it is also called, the Earth is also called the blue planet. Alright? Now, as we said that 71% of the Earth's surface is covered with water. Now we may think that that's too much water, that's so much water. Why do we still have water scarcity? Why do we still have problems with water, right? That is what you may think. Not all of this water can be used. The 71% of water cannot be used. Only some part of it, some percentage of it can be used. Okay? So let's move on to the next section to understand that. So the water that is on the Earth's surface are of two types. One is fresh water and the other is saline water. Okay. Now, out of all the water which is which we find on Earth, 97% of all the water is saline or salty. Or if you go to the ocean, the beach, if you try to taste the water, how does it taste? Very salty. Those are saline water. We cannot drink that water. We cannot live with that water, right? So 97% of the water we have on Earth is that kind of water, saline water. So that cannot be used by us. Only 3% of the water that is present on Earth is fresh water. And the fresh water is what we use, okay, is what is important to us, alright. Now, as you can see, almost all the water that we have on Earth is saline water or cannot be used. Only a small, tiny percentage of that whole of the water available is fresh water, which is of use to us. There are so many people living on Earth. So you can imagine that 3% of water, right, 3% of fresh water is not a large quantity of water. Because of that reason, it is very important and necessary for us to be careful with our use of water, to conserve the water, to use certain methods or measures, to take measures to control our use of water. Okay, to use it carefully, wisely. Okay, so in this map you can see, this is the map of the world. You can see that most of the parts of the earth is filled with water, right? So the water is, so 2/3 of the earth's surface is covered with water. So because of this reason, we call our planet the blue planet. Alright? Okay. So, now we'll look at how to conserve the water. And one of the ways to conserve water is water harvesting, the process of water harvesting. Now, what we have to understand is that conserving water is not the only solution. Okay? We also have to make sure that we use the water effectively. We use the water wisely. We do not waste the water even when we are conserving. Okay, so we have to be wise and smart in our ways to conserve water. Alright. Now, with the growing population, the number of people on Earth, in our planet, is growing each year. Okay, rapidly growing. The industrialization is also growing. Agriculture is also growing. Now, all these activities, what it does, with increase in these activities, the increase in demand for water happens. Water's demand also increases. More people, more need for water. More industries, more need for water. More agriculture, more need of water. More construction, more need for water. Okay? So with that, what happens? The amount of water gets less and less and less. We are overusing the water. We are uselessly using the water. We are not being careful with our use of water. We are not using the water effectively, alright? Because of this reason, we have to conserve the water. One of the ways to conserve the water is water harvesting. So basically, water harvesting is collection of rainwater. Okay? So the rainwater gets washed away, right? You only look at your house. When it rains, do you collect the water? You just let it go. Now, if you collect that water, imagine how much of water can you collect and reuse that water, right? So, one of the ways that we need to encourage each other to conserve water is to start the process or take part in the water harvesting process, okay? So, in this image, you can see it's a small image which illustrates how water harvesting takes place. So in this house, there are pipes which connect it to a tank, and it also has pipes which goes under the ground. Okay. So water harvesting is basically after it rains through and falls, the rainwater flows through the roof. It gets collected into the pipe and then which goes to this collection tank. Okay. So water is collected there. From there it is used for gardening. It's used for other purposes, washing, etc. Now, after you collect in the tank, the rest of the water can go back to the ground. Okay, can go underground, and that also helps keep a check on the groundwater. The groundwater is the water that we use for drinking. Now, if we also try to divert or use the rainwater, through water harvesting to direct some of it into the groundwater, then that also helps under the ground. That also helps maintain the water level of the groundwater. Okay, so this is a very important measure or way to conserve the water. All right.